Welcome back. I'm Danielle from Life is a Party, and I'm so glad you're here. This month's party is a Brinner party, breakfast for dinner. We're doing breakfast under the stars, and I can't wait to show you all the fun details. It's a pajama party. Let's go. My first project for this party was one of my very favorites. I wanted to make my light into a cloud with stars, so I grabbed some polyfill at the fabric store, and then I opened the bag carefully because it's kind of in a sheet, and I wanted to drape it over my light. I have this long chandelier, so I just draped the pieces over top. I thought I might need some fishing line to secure it, or that the weight of the polyfill itself might make it tear after a few days, but it held perfectly. I just draped it over the top and then kind of fluffed it into place to look like a cloud. Also, the light bulbs don't heat up, so there was no fire danger with hanging this over top of them. And then I wanted to have stars hanging down from it, so I just used some gold star garland that I already had, 2 different sizes, and I just sort of tucked it underneath the cloud over the light, and it looked great. For my moon, I made a free printable you can grab on my website and printed it double-sided, added a little gold glitter, and hung it. And I absolutely adore how this light turned out. My other big idea for this party decor was to turn the table into a bed. So I started out by using a vintage quilt as my tablecloth. It wasn't quite long enough, so at the other end, I carefully folded the sheet so it looked more like a bed and pulled it back over the edge of the quilt, and it worked perfectly. And then I finished it all off with a few pillows at one end. I set the table with my everyday white dishes, which I love for a party because they can go in the dishwasher, and then this beautiful white and gold cutlery. I really love how this table came together. It looks really eclectic and fun. For a centerpiece for this table, I didn't want to use flowers. I thought candles were perfect to go with our nighttime theme, but I didn't want the wax to get on the quilt, so I put them in these glass vases, which worked perfectly and reflected the light. And then I put a brass star garland through them and then some little mini star lights after, and it was perfect. These little star plates are a favorite of mine, and they were too perfect for our theme not to use. I only had 4, so I mixed and matched them with some glass vintage side plates as well. And then I kept that mix match theme going by mixing up the napkins. I used pink and white. And then a final detail for this table was the party favor. I wanted to do sleep masks, but customize them. So I cut out everybody's name using my Cricut with some iron-on vinyl, and I found the most perfect cloud sleep masks and then just applied the iron-on to each one. These looked so cute on the table, and they were a really fun take-home favor for the evening as well. This is definitely one of my favorite tablescapes that I've put together in a long time. The bed table added so much whimsy. The candlelight and stars were perfect for our dreamy atmosphere, and the cloud light is such a favorite that I'm not sure I ever want to take it down. I was joking with my best friend that it's staying up forever, and whatever theme we do in the future, we're just going to add under the stars after the theme so we can leave it up. My last big area of decor for this party was creating a little mimosa bar. I wanted to do a curtain of flowers behind it. I had some faux flowers, and then I also mixed in some fresh baby's breath and tied it using clear fishing line. I just used a couple hooks at the top to hang it as a backdrop, and it looked so beautiful. Another fun and really easy detail in this area was just tying some bows onto my little champagne flutes. And then I used the same ribbon to tie on some labels to all my different juice bottles. I used the Cricut to cut out the names in vinyl, and then I applied them to some clear acrylic keychains that I grabbed at the craft store, and they worked perfectly to label all our different juices. I also wanted to show you this free editable invitation you can grab on my website for your own Brinner party. The next big element of the party was putting together all the food. The food was the heart of this party. It was breakfast for dinner, so we wanted to share all our favorite breakfast foods. I thought it would feel more like an actual dinner party and less like a brunch if I made it 3 courses. So I decided I wanted to do a little granola yogurt parfait as a starter. I was serving fresh berries in the Mimosa bar, and we also did a crepe bar that had them. So I didn't want to include those on the granola and yogurt parfait. So I decided to do a little rhubarb strawberry compote, and it was so delicious. This was a great make ahead. I was able to make it a couple days before the party and then just put it in the fridge and forget it. It was so delicious. It was a standout of the night for sure. And the recipe is on the blog if you want to make it with some spring rhubarb. Another make ahead element that I made on the Thursday before the Saturday party were these little chocolate stars. They were just a garnish, but I wanted to use the stars as sort of a unifying piece that repeated throughout the party. And the way I thought of to bring them into dessert was to make these little garnishes. I just melted some chocolate, piped them, and added the little sprinkles, and I was able to get those out of the way earlier in the week. Another fun little element I put together on Thursday was an after dinner mint that fit our breakfast theme. So I melted some white chocolate, added a little bit of peppermint oil to it, and then piped it just from a Ziploc bag. We made white circles, added yellow M&Ms to make them look like eggs, and then a couple pieces of broken pretzels to look like bacon. These were the cutest after dinner mints ever, and they definitely made all my guests smile when I served them. A few more make-aheads that I tackled on Thursday were some sauces for my crepe buffet. I wanted to have some caramel sauce and chocolate sauce, and these homemade versions are just so much better than store-bought, and they're really easy recipes that are quite quick to put together. So here I am making the caramel one. It's the Pioneer Women's Easy Caramel Sauce, and it lives up to the name. It's very easy to make. And then I also made the hot fudge sundae sauce from my website. It's made with evaporated milk, and then you finish it by blending it with an immersion blender. It makes it so silky smooth, and you serve these warm. They were perfect for the crepes. And then one more quick and easy make ahead. I loved doing the molded butter for the toast party, so I used a star ice cube tray to make star-shaped butter. I was serving croissants with the main course, and I just thought these would be such a fun way to bring that star detail to the main course. I pushed them into the mold and then froze the butter and then popped them out right before serving, and they worked really well. Friday morning, my first recipe was making some sauteed apples that were going to be a topping on the crepe bar. So I peeled and sliced some apples, sauteed them with a little butter and cinnamon sugar, and then thickened them with a little bit of cornstarch and water. These were a big hit. They were the first thing to disappear from the crepe bar. Next up was making my famous crunchy granola that everybody loves. It's an easy recipe. It's made with oats. You make some oat flour in the food processor, and that makes those clusters form. And we did 3 different kind of nuts. You stir that together, and you do a little topping of melted butter and brown sugar and other ingredients. Mix it together and then bake it in the oven for an hour and a half, stirring every 15 minutes. So it takes a minute to make, but it is well worth it. This was my final job Friday night before bed after a long day of party prep, cooking, and shooting, and I was glad to be done.
Peace out.
The morning of the party, I started out by making all the crepes. I decided to cook these ahead of time and just reheat them in the microwave before serving, and this worked perfectly. I made a double batch of vanilla and a double batch of chocolate. I was afraid I was making too much food like I usually do, but honestly, these crepes were a hit and most of them disappeared. My crepe recipe is super easy. Everything goes together in the blender. You blend it up and then it has to rest for 30 minutes or in the fridge overnight, which is a great time saver for a party. Then you cook them. I have a crepe pan and this little wooden piece that came with it to help spread. And then they cook really fast. It's just a matter of making them one after another, after another. You'll get really good at your flipping technique.
Yay!
Our party was at 6, so I got dressed into my pajamas around 4, and then I did these croissants. We bought frozen croissants. You let them rise for 30 minutes and then bake them. They were really delicious, simple to do, and perfect for a party. Highly recommend. For our main course for the night, we went with some real old standbys. My husband and I have cooked these dishes so many times over the years, usually for brunch, not for dinner, but they're real old, tested and true ones. So the first one was this hash brown casserole. I mean, it doesn't get easier than this dish, but honestly, it's such a crowd pleaser. So I chopped up an onion and sauteed it, and then you mix a bag of frozen hash browns with cream of mushroom soup, sour cream, and cheese. Put it all in a casserole dish, sprinkle it with a bit more cheese and some breadcrumbs, and then bake it until it's cooked and bubbly. And again, it's not the most sophisticated dish, but everybody loves it. And another old standby for me is this easy quiche. I use store-bought pastry, a little grated cheese, onion and broccoli, and then the egg mixture with a little more cheese on top. And then they go in the oven for about 45 minutes. They're always a hit. They always work. And they were perfect for our breakfast for dinner menu. Once those were in the oven, I unmolded my star butters, which turned out great. And then it was time to set up my mimosa bar. I used some upcycled glass bottles to hold all my juices. I did 6 different juice. So there was orange and grapefruit, which are classic mimosa juices. Then we also did mango, pineapple, strawberry, and peach. If you're ever planning to do something similar, having a funnel makes the job so much easier, and it's definitely worth investing in. Once I got all my bottles filled, I added the beautiful labels that I made earlier in the week, and then I cut up some simple garnishes. We had raspberries and strawberries and some orange slices. There was also some mint, and just for extra fun, I picked a few pansies from my garden to use as an edible garnish as well, and these were so beautiful. Then it was time to set everything up in the dining room. Our flower curtain we made earlier in the week was looking amazing, and the juices with all the different colors were so pretty. I really love the bow detail on the glasses as well. We had some sparkling wine available, but because a few of my guests are non-drinkers, I really wanted to have some non-alcoholic options as well. So in addition to our traditional sparkling wine, there was also some sparkling grape juice and some Sprite, which was actually all the non-drinkers' favorite combo. Back in the kitchen, my husband was frying breakfast sausage and bacon. Hello. And my guests were starting to arrive in their pajamas.
With pajamas and everything.
I love it.
Hello, welcome. Hello, hello. And then we kicked things off with mimosas and mocktails. And everybody had a really good time just trying out all the different juices and then different combinations of juices. I popped back into the kitchen and started putting together my granola and yogurt parfaits. I didn't want them to be soggy, so I made them right before serving. So there was granola, some vanilla yogurt, and then our beautiful rhubarb strawberry compote. And then just to tie in with our star theme, I added some pretty little star sprinkles. These were a big hit. Everybody loved them, and it was a fun way to kick off our breakfast for dinner menu. Everybody sat down and discovered their sleep masks and thought they were a really cute, fun detail.
Oh, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, that's what the word.
Wow.
I seriously have the best friends, and they're so much fun.
Yeah, we're moving to the
They did, yeah.
That's a bit weird.
Hey, girl.
What did she do?
I always like to ask a table question to get things going. So I asked people what their favorite weird food combo was, since we were having kind of an upside down night with breakfast for dinner and wearing our pajamas to a fancy dinner party. And then I brought out the main course, our hash brown casserole, the quiche, the bacon and sausage, and the croissants and star butter. We served this course family style, and everybody enjoyed just digging in and helping themselves. A fun thing about this party was that it was intergenerational. My kids are home for the summer from university, and so it was just nice to have old friends and young adults around the table. We had a great time together. While my husband cleared the dinner plates and the food, I was prepping our crepe bar. So everything was pre-made, and I just had to reheat the hot elements. So the caramel sauce, fudge sauce, sauteed apples, and the vanilla crepes and chocolate crepes all got reheated in the microwave. And then I put them on these beautiful vintage serving pieces. I was really going for that dreamy cottage core look, and these worked perfectly. Let me tell you all the elements. So we had some vanilla ice cream, our crepes, a fruit tray of strawberries, raspberries, and sliced bananas. There was Devon custard, whipped cream, our hot fudge sauce, the caramel sauce, some maple syrup, hazelnut cream, some toasted almonds, and then our little star chocolate garnish. I thought it'd be fun to have sleepy time tea.
Sleepy time tea or regular tea and coffee.
What can I say? Your girl loves a theme. Everybody helped themselves to the crepe buffet and came up with some spectacular combinations.
I have a little after dinner mint for you.
My after dinner mints got a little chuckle, everyone enjoyed them, and we spent the rest of the night drinking tea and coffee, eating crepes, and enjoying each other. It's the morning after the night before. We had a great Brinner breakfast for dinner theme party last night, and I want to talk about what went really well and what maybe didn't go as well. So much went well with this party. It was such a hit, from our friends showing up in their pajamas, which set the tone immediately, the decor, which again just got people in the mood for what was happening. One great thing about the decor was putting the candles in these glass containers so that the quilt didn't get ruined with wax from the candles. Just a small thing, but like that was a good thing. The mimosa bar was awesome because guests could just help themselves all night, which they did. Having non-alcohol options over there too was a big hit for all the non-drinkers to feel like it was tailored to them, like a non-alcoholic choice was not an afterthought. So it served everybody, which was awesome. What else was great? The menu was great. The starter with that strawberry rhubarb compote was a standout for me. The main course being mostly make ahead, being able to put the casserole in the oven and the quiche in the oven before my guests even came. The frozen croissants that we just had to bake from frozen, like you let them sit 30 minutes and then bake, they were delicious. And then the crepe buffet was a real hit. And I was worried that people might be too full for main courses, but the nice thing about the crepes is they're relatively light and people really loved coming up with all different combos. So they were a hit, and surprisingly more of those were eaten than I thought. Like I thought I went way overboard making 4 small batches of crepes. I think there were like 28 crepes and there's maybe 8 left over. So 9 of us ate like 20 crepes. So they were definitely a hit. What else? My playlist, I really loved the playlist, and it was full of like old classics. The theme was stars and moons and night and dreams, and it was very like eclectic and a real hit. And the party favors, people really loved the little personalized party favors and brought them home, which was sweet, and I hope they enjoy them. There weren't really many misses from this party. I had one little mishap. I made these cute little after dinner chocolate mints that look like bacon and eggs, and it's pretzels and chocolate. And I somehow managed to drop the container and break about half of them. Luckily, I had extras and there's still some left over. So that was fine, but that was a little mishap on my part. Overall though, I really loved this theme. I loved like getting creative with all the details, and the menu was very doable, very manageable. So I highly recommend this theme. That's it for our May party. I have something really fun planned for June. So be sure to like this video and subscribe so that you never miss any of our monthly parties. Thank you so much for being here and for making life a party with me.